This may be a hot take right off the rip, but personally, in regards to enjoyment, I probably enjoy this chapter more than 1045 and 1044. I'm just saying. I'm gonna explain why. First and foremost, I feel like I always say this, but I never address the cover page, but today I will, just because it's such a prominent part of this chapter and why I enjoyed it. The cover page was fantastic. We've been talking about this cover story. I know. I have my biases, because if Katakuri could possibly be involved, I'm all for it. But this chapter, it is somewhat bringing together a fan-made idea for a long time. Well, somewhat fan-made. We're using context clues from the manga, where it's like Blackbeard saying he's going to go after something. Why would he not go after Whole Cake Island now is unoccupied, right? So that was a whole thing that people were talking about. It was even a whole fan-made chapter made regarding Katakuri fighting like some of the Blackbeard pirates in Whole Cake Island. And now, a part of me, I'm so excited, because I'm like, this could be happening. We could be seeing the Blackbeard pirates going to Whole Cake Island to retrieve whatever poneglyph or whatever Big Mom has that they feel like they need to find a One Piece, which for Blackbeard, if that is his intention, then you need all the poneglyphs. So why not go to Whole Cake Island? It's unoccupied. I mean, only people there are like supposed to be somewhat injured. Now's the perfect time. I'm not even going to talk about who I think it is, because I don't think that's nearly as entertaining as Blackbeard and the Blackbeard pirates going to Whole Cake Island. Think about that, right? Just insane cover story so far. Oda has been knocking it out of the park with this one. I don't know what to say. Now to the actual chapter. I know, people, last chapter, there was some apprehension on my part. There was some feeling of, okay, let's see where this goes. Let's see what Oda does with the Gear 5, because Gear 5, not overpowered, just a bit toonish, right? Which One Piece, to everybody's credit, One Piece has always been goofy, but this took it up a notch. And just even talking to several people, they're like, yeah, it's a bit different as in regards to what we expect, but I gotta put things into context. We're reading the manga week to week. So that chapter in a vacuum, I understand the qualms. I mean, I had my qualms, but I was in wait and see mode. I said it several times in my live reaction, in my review. I liked the chapter, but let me see how Oda handles this going forward. He did a splendid job in 1046, because I had no issues with anything that transpired. Like literally, even the end of the chapter, where I was like, okay. And even in my last review, I talked about El Thor and some of the elemental attacks that Luffy can do. Just took it up even a higher notch. We got to start with Kaido, right? Because Kaido, after that attack where Luffy's fist apparently went through his head, but we know it didn't really, Kaido has a question. He's like, can I ask you something? And he's like, yo, what? Why aren't you subscribed to B.D.A Law? I was like, what? Okay, that's not in the chapter, but that's what I'm asking. Why are you not subscribed to this channel, right? Drop a like, right? Maybe you're not subscribed. Maybe you haven't realized you're not subscribed. Look down. If it's red, click that button, drop a like. Let's go, right? But let's talk about Kaido really quickly. Kaido says, I got one question. Tell me one thing, okay? And he's like, who the hell are you? So Kaido, as we know, right, has refined his skills to the point that he's one of the top fighters in the verse. And what I'm speculating is Kaido, is he sensing another entity, not taking over Luffy, but within Luffy somewhat through the awakening of his devil fruit? And it is somewhat echoed by Zunisha, where Zunisha talking about how exhilarating Joy Boy is. I'm like, was Joy Boy Zunisha's lover? Were you guys co-mingling in different ways we didn't know? It is so excited, because we don't know if Zunisha is he or she, because they're saying Zunisha is based off of Ganesha or whatever. But it is so excited that Joy Boy is back. Oh my God. I'm like, if Zunisha busts out in some break dancing, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break from One Piece for a little bit, okay? Zunisha, it's excited, right? And to put it into context, 800 years, right? 800 years. I'd be excited as hell too if I've been walking that entire time. Like I walked out of my shoes, goddammit. Like, so Zunisha, as expected, it is really happy that Joy Boy is back based off of the heartbeat of Luffy. I like the transition as well. After Zunisha says we should put our faith in this boy, Luffy says, I'm Monkey D. Luffy, right? The man who will surpass you and become king of the pirates. And it's nostalgia that Zunisha just mentioned. It came back off of what Luffy said, because Luffy's been saying that from the beginning. Different variations, right? But for the most part, him becoming the king of the pirates, being himself through and through, it's echoing here. And Oda's somewhat dispelling some of these questions, right? Some of this apprehension, like, don't worry, Luffy is still Luffy, because, you know, we gotta wait a little bit for some translation clearances, but it seems like Zunisha is saying here, even though this kid, this heartbeat reminds me of Joy Boy, I am well aware this is not Joy Boy, and this is an individual that is reminding me of this character, right? Of this person. So it's saying we should put our faith in this boy, which is saying we should put our faith in Luffy, because I understand this person is not exactly who I think he is. It's just refreshing. It's nostalgic. Oda's answering our questions. Oh man, is Luffy being taken over? Is he still himself? himself. He is 100% still the Monkey D. Luffy that we know and love, guys. I really wasn't worried with that because I don't think Oda would ever dispel Luffy's personality. Luffy's personality is one of the main reasons why we continue to read One Piece. Regardless whether Luffy is one of our favorite characters or not, I understand that Luffy is the driving force in regards to One Piece being as successful as it is, because everything is kind of based off his personality and some of the decisions he makes, right? Of course, One Piece has so many other things that we know and we love, and I should probably slow down. I'm a bit excited. Okay. One Piece has a lot of things that we know and we love, but Luffy is one of the driving force, and I said it before and I said it again, probably the only MC in Shonen that the story is so dependent on him, right? It is so revolving around Luffy. Without him, and sometimes it could be refreshing, right? Because it's a nice change of pace, but things kind of start falling apart a bit. So a lot of nostalgia reading that point, but that's just the beginning of the chapter, boys. We got a lot more to get to. Kaido talks about awakening. I think it's the appropriate time to try to touch on some awakening stuff in a video, perhaps, because Kaido kind of explains it as maybe your mind and body kind of joining on a different plateau so that you can finally realize the full potential of your fruit. Does this mean Kaido's uses awakening? I don't know. People are saying this implies that he hasn't, but whatever these smart ass people have figured out, I need some of what you're drinking or whatever you guys have figured out, because I don't know how this tells you that he's not or has used his awakening. Again, his explanation is somewhat hyping up the Hito, right? Saying he's harnessing his ability. He's fighting a bit more freer than he ever has, which is so in line with Luffy's fighting style, which I enjoy a lot. Now, people are gonna say, well, Braga, you were apprehensive in the last chapter. Yes, because the tone was shifting a bit. And again, One Piece has always been goofy, but tone has always been imperative for some of the great moments in One Piece. That's why Ace dying, Whitebeard dying, Sabaody, Luffy versus Usopp, right? Even though it has its moments where Luffy's rolling around, writhing in pain, the tone is consistent, and that drives the point home as to the exhilaration of the moment, the importance of the moment, and that's important in any story. And just to be clear, this isn't about power scaling, how strong somebody is. This is solely about how this moment impacts me as is going on. Even in that moment, I said this could be a showcase. These last two chapters is a showcase. Oda is basically making it a bit more goofy to show that this is Luffy's personality. Maybe this is through the prism of Luffy's eyes, whatever. It's not going to remain here, and that was my apprehension, right? I needed the tone to reverse, and Oda used Kaido splendidly to bring things back down, explain what we were seeing, where it's like, this is an awakening. This is Luffy harnessing his ability, and I love that so much. It is putting everything into perspective, and Oda did a splendid job here. I've said that before, but let's move on now. Something that I chuckled at, which, I talk about tone, and this one kind of took me out of it a little bit when Kaido said, hey, you know what? I've lost a lot in this war. I'm like, oh man, Kaido, I feel that. And he's like, well, my men, my castle, my everything I've built. And I'm like, go on. Then he's like, you have to. I'm like, oh God. It's like, Luffy hasn't lost much. People are like, he lost his life. Did he really? Did he? Right? So, that's the justification. Luffy lost his life. He lost Pedro. He lost Ashura Doji, maybe. But in comparison to what Kaido lost, it's not even close, right? But Oda's trying to make it seem like, hey, they're neck and neck, and there's so much on the line for both of them. They've both lost so much. Of course, fodder has probably died on both sides, but we don't care about fodder, do we? It's Fato. It's Oda's way of using words to raise the stakes a bit. It didn't raise it that much for me. I understand what's going on here, so it kind of took me out a bit. That's all I'm gonna say. However, I understand the purpose of it. Luffy coughing, I was like, huh? Right? Where I was like, I said that Luffy, Gear 5 was going to kill Luffy, not this arc, but somewhere at the end of the story, like not just Gear 5, but the cumulative damage, and people disagreed with me to say the least. When he started coughing, I was like, hold on. But then I quickly realized it was just from the fire. It's not what I thought it was. But this kind of hinted what was to come, where they're talking about the fire below, and this is a great transition again from Kaido talking about everything Luffy lost, and then Luffy putting faith in his crew is just continuing somewhat the theme of Luffy being Luffy and trusting in his friends. That's what Luffy does. So again, Oda is letting us know and reassuring us Luffy is still Luffy. As we continue how Luffy moves, his legs are turning into wheels, and then Kaido attacked him, and then he just pulled his body up. His legs just went higher. No issue with anything there. It's in line with his devil fruit powers, right? And again, things are a lot more subdued than last chapter, which is like the goofiness again was turned up to 100. This is right back, I think, to status quo, where the goofiness is a part of One Piece and Luffy's fighting style, which you do not have any issues with, and I haven't seen anyone that had an issue with anything this chapter. Don't want to spend too much time on all those things going on in between, but I do appreciate everything that Oda's doing, giving us us an update with everyone. The Straw Hats, in particular, Sanji's backup, had the mouse on his shoulder there. I had a theory that this mouse is going to turn into Ratatouille, and Sanji's going to teach him how to cook and all this different stuff. I'm not sure why I thought that. I don't know. I thought it'd be cool, like Sanji having a little mascot. Nami got one. Why can't Sanji get one? Zoro got one in Enma. Okay, that's a bit too far, huh? Speaking of Zoro, Zoro is alive. In the chapter, it seemed like his arm had been cut off or devastated. In the next panel, it shows that Zoro's arms are fine. He maybe just got damaged. Maybe Enma or Death is whooping his ass right now. We need Zoro to win, right? He can't die here, right? Nico Robin being morbid as usual. Apu just needing someone to help him as usual. Usopp crying and being helpful and being a bit annoying as usual. But you love it because that's part of his charm. But MVP. Jinbei. And of course, Raizo, right? When I was reading the chapter, I was like, well, the only way to quell this fire is Zunisha. There's no other way you can use this character than to have Zunisha. Zunisha, the thing that happened within her was the whale tree and all the water that happened. I was like, can Zunisha do that on Onigashima? It was like, Onigashima is floating right now. I don't know how that's going to work. But then Raizo, man, coming through in the clutch based off of, again, going back to the Oden flashback, Raizo was the one that complained about the heat. Raizo used the fire to withstand Fukurokuju. Now, Raizo is planning ahead, because this was before, planning ahead, having all this water, then using our goat Jinbei to just send it everywhere on Onigashima. Splendid. I love that so much. Again, this chapter, how it flowed, everything about it just felt so right. It felt like Oda was just slowly but surely looking at us saying, like, why did you doubt me? And I was like, I stand corrected again. But that's part of it, right? That's part of it. We have to be able to even criticize people, not criticize, critique people that we enjoy. Just like you guys go to different YouTubers channels and say, hey, your mic was too loud, you know, or your camera was too fuzzy. This is us, just someone holding Oda accountable, even though we believe in him. We're 1,046 chapters in. We're not going anywhere. Well, most of us. I know damn sure I'm not. This exemplifies One Piece. And again, I enjoyed this chapter, but let's get to the end, shall we? Let's get to the end. Monkey D. Luffy is, as I talked about last chapter, Luffy using Thor and elemental attacks, like him imagining and using elemental attacks. And imagination, people are triggered by that because that's not what the official said, and it's somewhat the liberties of translations. However, it's the same train of thought. In this situation though, Luffy, again, it's hard to say what exactly happened, but somehow Luffy's holding a lightning bolt. So yeah, he can wield lightning now. He is a god. And again, that triggers people too. So let me explain when I say Luffy's a god. I mean, Luffy can accomplish anything he wants to do if he put his mind to it, right? Just straight up, point blank, period. I don't mean he's a literal god. I even made a video saying there are no literal gods in One Piece. What a god is an exemplified or an exaggerated version of what people think you are. It is somebody that is praised and worshiped based on things that people do not understand. And even us as readers, we don't even understand some of the things that Luffy's doing. So to us, I'm like, hey, he's a god, right? But we don't mean that in the literal sense. I understand that Luffy is nowhere near a god. He's not, let me slow down. He is not a god in the terms of being this all-knowing, almighty deity that cannot be destroyed or trampled upon in any way. What we mean in IRL. Anyway, he's wielding lightning. And again, holy shit, right? What is, bro? Okay, we have a break next week. So that's the only thing that didn't you have a break next week. But the last panel, Kaido and Luffy. Kaido, man, we're gonna talk about him. Don't worry, we're definitely gonna talk about him because there's some things going on here, guys. But I just gotta say, loved this chapter. Fantastic stuff. Oda in his bag, in his gosh darn bag. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about the chapter? Again, amazing stuff. We'll talk about it. I feel like there's only one person I should be able to talk to about this chapter just because of reasons. But guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDH. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Again, guys, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Okay, I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite it.